Hey everyone, welcome to Great and Gather Barbecue. It's Kyle and thanks for joining us. Today we're going to do something so simple. If you haven't smoked anything, or maybe you're not even getting a smoker yet, when you get it, do a pork butt. First off, it feeds a million people. So maybe you have a big family or you can actually freeze it when you're done. But this is so simple. It's really kind of hard to mess up a pork butt. It's possible, but it's pretty hard. And so it's actually called a pork butt, Boston butt. There's multiple names for it. It doesn't actually come from a butt of a pig. It's like the shoulder, front shoulder area. So this is a bone in, so you can see there's a bone here. And this one actually, because they're cut all different, there's got like a little chunk. I'm not going to trim it out, but it's something to be very cautious when you go to pull this. This is probably about like a 1/4 inch thick, pretty big. You just want to be aware of it. You don't want anyone taking a big chunk of thinking they're getting pulled pork and then they bite right into a bone. That's disgusting. So we want people to like it and enjoy your barbecue. But it's really simple, not much trimming at all. This has got a big, nice fat cap. And so there's a debate whether you do fat cap up, so you cook it like this, or you do fat cap down. I don't really care. Do it whatever way you want. I'm going to cook this one fat side down. So that way there's kind of a barrier between the heat for the grate and then the meat. But when we go to pull this, you'll see I'll actually probably separate most of this fat because we want people to eat pulled pork, not pulled fat. So just little things that I think make it go a long ways, but super simple. Just kind of rub your hand around, see if there's any chunks of bone that are small. This one I'll deal with once it's actually done. And then what we're going to do is use a binder and get our rub on. But we're going to cook this low and slow, 225 degrees. Normally I like to account for 2 hours per pound. So this is about an 8-pound one. So in theory, I think it should go around 15 hours, 16 hours. If it gets done sooner, great, not a big deal, but that's how I plan for it because these can rest. You need to let this rest when it comes out, and I'll talk about this at least 1 hour when you're done cooking it. Talk about being hard. So here you've spent all this time, and now you're actually going to let this rest, but it's so crucial. So this needs to at least rest 1 hour, but I've had these rest upwards of 5-6 hours. I wrap them up, put them in a cooler or the oven off, and they'll just hold their heat. So if it gets done sooner, there's a lot of wiggle room, and that's why it's so easy to do a pork butt. So basically I'm going to mustard. I'm going to pull off my glove. This will be now my clean hand. So everything needs to happen with this hand if you're going to be touching the meat at that point. So you just pull off your mustard. I'm going to do fat side first because there we go. It's kind of hard one-handed. Then I can just flip it over and it's not going to hurt anything. They always say presentation side should be last. But you just want a nice even coat of mustard around some of the sides. And I'm actually going to, just to help with keeping the rub in, this is a barbecue prep tub, and you'll see it kind of pops up. And so I'm going to pop it up just so it keeps the rub in. So when you start slinging that rub, it will stay actually not all over the counter, but it'll stay in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a base layer, simple layer of SPG by Cosmos, and just salt, pepper, garlic, base layer, nothing crazy. And then we're going to actually come back through with their honey chipotle killer bee. So it's a sweet kind of heat one, but we just want a nice even. I've said it's kind of like a typewriter, and that, I mean, it just means back and forth, really even layer. I'm going to grab a paper towel real quick, kind of wash off some of this excess, because you'll see the second layer of this rub I'm going to press down. So we have the base layer on this bottom. So now I'm going to shake the rub, and now we'll put on the top final coat. And then I'll just do a quick little press. This just keeps it held on when you flip it over. And then now I will flip it up on its side. I've already mustard that pretty well. A pork butt can take a lot of seasoning. And then we'll flip it back over to this side. If there's any crevices, I try to really pack it in there if possible. But we want a good bark. That's what people really like to eat, is the bark at the end. The pulled pork's great, but the bark on the pulled pork I think is as important. You don't have to be technical with it. Just get the rub on there. And the prep table is just kind of keeping it off the counters. If you've ever done a pork butt or any type of big meat, normally it's everywhere on this counter. This just helps keep it contained. We'll do this last side here, the top, and then this side, and then that's it. Kind of hold my hand at the end so that way that side can still get it. I just kind of cup it and then just slap it basically on there. And this butt is ready for the smoker. I'll see you out there. All right, guys, we're out at the Pits and Spits 2000, and it is preheated at 225 degrees. That's where I'm going to keep it the whole cook. I'm going to do something a little different at 160 to 65, depends on where it lands. I'm going to actually wrap it in butcher paper. So I'll tell you guys more about that at the end of the cook. But it really just helps it cook faster. I think it keeps the bark still, because either you can foil or you can butcher paper. I've always had good, or you do no foil, and team no wrap is what that's called. So experiments, that's what barbecue's all about. I've had good results with butcher paper, so I like it. And so that's what I'm gonna do. The goal, maybe you've been watching my channel and you don't have a smoker yet, get a pellet grill to start. It's kind of cheating in a way. I hope one day I have an offset and I'm able to spend all night, because here's what's gonna happen. It is like 10 o'clock at night. I'm gonna leave this in all night long. I'm gonna wake up and this is gonna run all night long as long as nothing crazy happens. And you don't have to worry about stoking the fire. You don't have to worry about anything. So if you are looking to get a smoker, get a pellet smoker for your first one if you don't have a lot of time. And this will just keep the fire regulated. It'll keep the smoke going. And so, yeah, ask me some different brands. I have some ideas out there depending on your budget. But anyway, so we're going to put these on at 160 degrees. I'm monitoring my temp with a Fireboard 2.0. 160 degrees, it will send me an alarm. I'll come out here, I'll wrap it in butcher paper real quick, and then I'll go back to bed, depending, or maybe it's gonna be early in the morning. I don't know yet. But yeah, we're gonna get this butt on, and I'm gonna put the probes in it. Just gonna center it up. And when you go to put probes in a piece of meat, think of the coldest part of this. Where would the coldest part be? It's gonna be in the middle probably somewhere. So basically, I just find the middle, stick it as far as I can to get to that point. This has got the bone over here. So I'm probably gonna monitor just two different areas. You don't have to, but since I have so many probes, I might as well use them. So that's it. It's ready for its 14 maybe hour cook. See you later.
All right, guys, so it has been 9 hours. It's at 161, 162 degrees. So now I'm gonna wrap it. We're supposed to be eating this around 12:30, 1 o'clock. So I'm actually gonna bump the temp to 250 degrees. We've had it at 225 this whole cook. And it's doing really good. But what we're gonna do is wrap it, and what that's gonna do is hopefully help speed up the process of cooking. Sometimes these butts can stall right around this 160 to 170-ish range, and sometimes they'll stall for hours. Like, it's miserable. So I think wrapping it really kind of helps speed up that process, and since we're supposed to be eating relatively soon, 5 hours or so, hopefully it will help speed up this cooking process. So I've bumped the pellet grill up to 250 degrees, and we're gonna wrap this. So I'll show you how I do that. I like to put it fat side up. Man, you can just see juices fly out of this thing. And then I just like to take it over, kind of hold that, and then it's like wrapping a really cool present, this is a present for adults. So why I did fat side up to lay it down, because now I'm sitting how it's gonna sit on there, and it's holding. If we had the folds the other way, it might not hold easy. So I'm gonna be putting my probes right here and right here, which will then hold these two flaps. So that way it's completely held up, tied up, and yeah, so I will be back when this thing hits. We're looking for an internal temp. Still really early. Internal temp of about 203 degrees is normally when I pull my pork butts. At about 195 I start checking them, but 203 degrees normally is the magic number, give or take a little bit. But so 203 degrees, this thing will be back, and then it's gonna rest for at least an hour, and then I will have another video of me pulling it. So see you later.
All right, so we've let this rest 2 hours. Now we're gonna pull it. This is still piping hot, so a little tip and trick is you can just get some normal jersey gloves and actually put your gloves over these, and then that protects you from the heat at that point. Because I don't know about you, but I've tried to pull this together apart with my hands, barehanded, and if it's rested a really long time, it's okay, but this is still extremely hot. And so basically, the first test that you normally do is to see what this bone does. So we'll zoom in, see how the bone is just sitting there. Basically, if it does that, then you're good to go. And then yeah, basically you just start pulling, putting it in there, and shredding it by hand, and this is hot, but you don't feel it because you have that extra glove there. So just be very careful when you're pulling it. Make sure there's no bones, fat, anything like that. That bottom fat cap, I'm actually gonna just leave. So I'm gonna kind of scrape off that bottom back. This one didn't have a ton, but all this right here is fat. And some people want that, and some smokers probably would keep that in there. I am not gonna mix that with the meat. It's got flavor. I'm not gonna argue, but I'm not going to serve my guests that. So after this is all pulled, I'll show you guys the end result. See you in a minute. All right, so I got it all pulled. It looks fantastic. It smells fantastic. So yeah, this is a very simple cook that you can do. It's pretty bulletproof. So get a bunch of people together and enjoy some pulled pork. See you later.